Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Arizona Dreams. Subscribers appreciate you. New viewers, you gotta subscribe. Today we're going to talk about moving tips, specifically moving across country, and we're trying to relate it to moving to Phoenix, Arizona. However, if you're moving across country or even if you're doing a cross-town move, some of these tips will apply to you. So let's first talk about a moving truck. Moving trucks, typically if it's across town, you can probably get by with a shorter window of your rental. But if you're going out of state, or better yet, cross country, i.e. coming from the East Coast to Phoenix, then you're going to want to book in advance, and you're also going to want to do a lot of comparison shopping. This applies to comparison shopping for anything, but my first tip is learn to use a private window session in your browser. So if you're using Safari or Firefox, it's called private window or private tab. Use that to your advantage. In Chrome, it's called incognito mode. You use that so that you're not caching where you've been, so that the search engines and the sites are not detecting, hey, he's looking for a flight or a truck, or she's looking for, hotels here. You're eliminating that factor because they do raise the rates if you keep hitting the same site, and if you're not caching that in one of those private sessions, they're not going to be able to start jacking up the rates on you. So that's the first tip. Book in advance. I would say at least a month. If you can get further out, great. We've booked one that we booked almost 3 months in advance. We've booked one as short as just over a month in advance, and we've never been tighter than that when we were doing a out-of-state cross-country move. All right, so that's the first one. The next one, this is really going to apply more to those out-of-state cross-country moves, not so much the in-town, but maybe it does. I don't know. That's getting a company to move you. Now, you can pay a moving company, and they will do all the loading to a semi. You see these all the time. And they'll drive your stuff across. It takes a little bit longer because typically they have to pay to fill the truck. So they may go from, Michigan to Ohio to Minnesota before they come down to Arizona because they've got to get all the loads that they need. That's one option. That's the most expensive option. Another option is to rent a truck and pay a company. U-Haul offers this service where they affiliate general people as a company to assist you in moving, and that assistance can be for driving you across country. Not all of them offer it. You're going to have to do some research, and I will tell you now, don't always trust the reviews. Make sure you're doing your legwork and trying to find out what's going on. All right, so that's moving assistance paid. The other option is to get a family or friend to help you do that, and then basically you're just going to agree to divide up the driving time where it makes sense and safe, and that could be your husband, your wife, your buddy, a couple buddies, however that works out for you. So that's my second tip, and that one definitely will save you some headache. We covered the paying to move. Let's talk about packing and unpacking. Going back to that first scenario where you pay the moving company and it's a semi and so on and so forth, they usually will offer the option to pack your stuff for you, and they'll send in a team, usually the day before, pack everything up. And then they will also offer a package to unpack. That's one option. They will also offer loading and unloading. Now, if you don't go that route, because I told you that's the most expensive, you can go to the U-Haul route or a similar one, and you can look at those same services that U-Haul and some of the other companies offer. That is to pack, unpack, load, unload for you, and you can pay crews to do that. Same thing I said before about the driving. Check the reviews, do your research to make sure that you're getting what you pay for, because it's exactly that. You get what you pay for. And we've had good and bad experiences. Our first move as a family to Arizona, phenomenal job with the unloaders in Arizona. It was a 3-man team, and they were literally done in about an hour and a half, which was flying. That same move, coming out of Houston, Texas, we had, I think, 6 kids that were at college, maybe high school age kids. They were terrible. They took all day, and I ended up having to actually part ways with some of my stuff because it wouldn't fit into my truck and tow vehicle. So you live and learn. Okay, so let's talk about moving assistance. What is moving assistance and how can you get it? Moving assistance is when your employer, your future employer, the one that you're moving to, agrees to give you some financial subsidy to subsidize your move. And usually it's a conditional thing where they say, hey, I'll give you X $1,000, but you have to sign a contract to stay here, or you have to meet X goals, Y goals, whatever. You'd be surprised at how many companies are open to that idea, especially when it's cross-country. I have been very blessed in my moves that I have been able to negotiate moving assistance. So I encourage you to try to negotiate that as part of your salary and agreement to employment. It will definitely make your headaches, financial struggles less if you have that assistance. Going back to packing for a second, I talked about all of the paying, but what about if you're doing it yourself and you either decide you don't want to pay or you just don't financially have it? That's a perfectly acceptable solution. Here's the thing: start early and work in batches. This last time we moved, we started about a month to a month and a half prior to our actual move, and we literally would go room by room and start working things down and packing them up. Is it a bit of a mess? Yeah, it is. It's not a comfortable way to live, but you got to keep that end goal in mind that, hey, we're going to where we want to be to start this new life, wherever that might be. The other thing is, while we're doing that, and this is one that I will recommend, I don't care how you go about your packing, pare down, downsize. Get rid of the stuff you don't use. If it's older than a year and you haven't left it out of your closet, get rid of it. And there's no point in taking extra stuff like 10 bikes that you don't have or you never use, because it takes up space. You have to pay for it to get there, and it's going to take up space to store when you do finally get there. So just do yourself a favor, pass along on the minimal stuff that you don't need. Don't forget the other outside details that people don't think about when they're moving. You've got utilities to shut off. You've got utilities to turn on. And I can tell you, having been on both ends, it's a hassle when something happens and there's a mix-up in a power on or a power off. And we've had both happen where we've communicated in advance and somewhere something got mixed up and it didn't get turned off in time, or probably really the worst one is it didn't get turned on in time. So you may be sitting in a cold house or no electricity. Anyways, that's one to think about. And then the other one that we do, and my wife has gotten really good at this one, is getting our mail forwarded. It's actually a really easy thing to do, and you can do it online now with the U.S. Post Service. You can set it up to forward for a year, and they will actually email you images of your mail that is going to be coming to your mailbox the next day. So kind of a cool service. It lasts for a year. They'll forward all your bills. They'll forward all your mail, including your junk mail. But at least you're knowing that you're going to be covered. As long as you have a valid go-to address before you leave, I highly encourage you to do that. Start date. Let's talk about that. One of the things that we've learned from our many moves is that you need to try to arrange yourself some layover time in between your arrival to your new city and your start time. You don't want to jump right into a new occupation, literally the day of or the day after that you get there. Give yourself a couple of days to unpack, to do some grocery shopping, to get all your bills turned on. If you have children, get them into their schools, because a lot of the schools won't let you do it remotely or online. So this gets you a chance to, even if you did all that, you can go over and check out the school so that your child or children will be comfortable with their new environment. They're not going into it the day of all shocked with, hey, what is this? So just give yourself, I would say, 2 to 3 days between when you're going to arrive to your new home and when you're actually going to start that new job. It will save you some heartache and some headache. So we've talked about all the ground logistics, right? There's another option to consider, especially if you can get your employer to subsidize your move, and really if you can get a moving company to do it. That first one, look into flying. One of the things that we haven't done really is we haven't flown all of us out and then just had everything moved. It's a little bit more cost, but if you can afford to do it, trust me, it's a heck of a lot easier to take a 3, 4, 7-hour trip if you have a layover, maybe a full day trip of flights and a little car travel to your new hotel/place, than it is to take 3 to 4 days driving across country, spending nights in hotels, listening to your kids complain about every little thing under the sun, or just just the general fatigue from driving. So let's say that your kids are angels, because I know mine are. Just look into it. It's not for everyone, and it's certainly not as cost effective as some of the other options, but it definitely is probably one of the best stress reducers because it's over in one day, unless you do an overnight trip. Lastly, relax. You got it. Enjoy it. In a few days, you will be in that new city, starting that new life in that new place, getting to know all the new surroundings that you have chosen for you and your family. And I promise you, whatever happens, it will be a worthwhile experience for you. You know the drill. Subscribe, share, like, comments down below. Ring the bell for the alerts. Check back for the next video and take care.